I remember the exact moment my world cracked open. My father leaned across the conference table, slid a stack of documents toward me, and said in the calmest voice imaginable, "Just sign it, Almira." It's a formality. But the lawyer sitting beside him wouldn't meet my eyes, and my mother kept tapping her pen like she was nervous. That's when I noticed the line buried deep in the contract. My shares. My entire stake in the company. Being transferred away from me. My own parents weren't asking for help. They were trying to erase me. Before we go further, take 1 second and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve to be heard, especially when the people who betray you the most are the ones who raised you. My name is Almira. I'm 28 years old, and 3 years ago I thought I was the luckiest daughter alive. My parents had built a successful logistics company from scratch. Growing up, I watched them work late nights at the kitchen table, arguing over spreadsheets and delivery routes. My mom handled finances. My dad handled operations. And when I graduated with a business degree, they told me something that made me cry right there in the living room. Someday, my dad said proudly, "This company will be yours too." They gave me 10% of the company shares as part of a long-term succession plan. Not charity. Not a gift. My dad said it was because I had earned it. I believed him. For the next 3 years, I worked harder than anyone in that building. I came in before sunrise. I stayed after everyone left. I helped expand our regional contracts, negotiated new shipping partnerships, and even helped land a deal that nearly doubled our annual revenue. And during all that time, my parents kept telling me the same thing. "You're the future of this company, Almira." So when my dad called me into the office that afternoon and said we needed to update some shareholder paperwork, I didn't think twice. The conference room felt strangely tense, though. The company lawyer was there. My mother was sitting unusually stiff, her arms crossed like she didn't want to be part of the conversation. My dad pushed the documents toward me. "Just routine restructuring," he said casually. "Sign here." At first, I didn't even read it closely. I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? But something in the lawyer's expression made me pause. His jaw was tight. His eyes flicked toward me like he wanted to say something, but couldn't. That's when I started reading. And my stomach dropped. Buried halfway through the document was a clause transferring my 10% ownership back to the company majority holder, which was my father. My heart started pounding. I looked up slowly. Why does this say I'm giving up my shares? My dad didn't blink. "It's temporary," he said. A technical move for a new investor deal. But my mother finally spoke, and the tone in her voice made my blood run cold. "It's better this way, Almira." Better for who? I flipped through the rest of the pages, hands shaking now. There was no clause giving them back. No timeline. No protection. Once I signed this, I would own nothing. 3 years of work. Gone. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. My father leaned back in his chair, suddenly looking less like a loving parent and more like a businessman closing a deal. "Because you might have overreacted." Overreacted. To my own parents stealing the company stake they promised me? My chest felt tight. My throat burned. "Dad, this is my future." His voice turned cold. "No, Almira. This is my company." And in that moment, something inside me shattered. But what my parents didn't realize was that someone else in that room had been watching everything very carefully. And he had a plan none of us saw coming. The room went silent after my father said those words. "No, Almira. This is my company." Something inside my chest cracked. Not loudly, just quietly. The kind of break that happens when you realize the people you trusted most were never really on your side. My hands were still on the contract, but now they were shaking. 3 years. 3 years of long days, missed weekends, and believing I was helping build something that belonged to all of us. And now my parents were sitting across from me like I was just another problem they needed to solve. I looked at my mom. She wouldn't even meet my eyes. "Just sign it," she said softly. That hurt more than anything. I slowly pushed the papers back across the table. "I'm not signing this." My father's expression hardened. "Almira, don't make this difficult." I let out a quiet laugh that sounded more like a crack in my voice. "You're asking me to give up everything." My father leaned forward, his tone sharp now. "You're being emotional. This is business. That's when the lawyer cleared his throat. All shareholder transfers, he said carefully, must also be reviewed by the CEO before final approval. My father frowned. And the lawyer glanced toward the glass wall of the conference room. Mr. Harrison asked to be present. Right then the door opened. Daniel Harrison, the company's CEO, walked in. Most employees barely saw him since he ran things from New York, but 2 years ago he quietly bought 30% of the company as an investor. Now he stood at the doorway, holding a tablet, looking calmly around the room. His eyes landed on me. "Almera," he said gently. "Have they explained everything?" I swallowed. "They tried." My father crossed his arms. "Daniel, this is a family matter." The CEO's lips twitched slightly. "No," he said. "It's a corporate matter." He walked to the table and placed the tablet down. "Because before today's meeting, I reviewed the documents you planned to present." My father stiffened. And I found them interesting." He tapped the screen and turned it toward us. "This is the investment agreement you signed with me 2 years ago." My father's face slowly drained of color. Daniel continued calmly. "It states that any forced transfer of shares from a minority shareholder triggers an automatic board review." My father snapped back. "This isn't forced." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "She was asked to sign immediately, without notice or legal counsel. That qualifies as coercion." The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Daniel's voice remained steady. "Because of that clause, I exercised my emergency authority this morning." My father frowned. "What authority?" Daniel looked straight at him. "The authority to purchase additional shares." My father blinked. "What?" Daniel tapped the tablet again. "Specifically, Almera's." The room froze. I stared at him. "You bought my shares?" He shook his head slightly. "Not from you. From the option clause attached to them." My father suddenly stood up. "That clause was inactive." Daniel stayed calm. "No. It was dormant. Until someone attempted to remove the shareholder." He folded his hands on the table. "So when this meeting was scheduled, the clause activated." My mother whispered, "What does that mean?" Daniel looked directly at my father. "It means Almera no longer owns 10%. For a split second, my heart dropped. Then he finished the sentence. "She now owns 25. The room went still. With Daniel backing those shares, they carried serious voting power. Enough to challenge leadership. Enough to force changes. My father looked stunned. Daniel turned to me. "I believe you've earned a stronger position here." For the first time that day, I felt steady again. I looked at my parents across the table. They suddenly looked small, like their plan had collapsed right in front of them. And I said quietly, "You were right, Dad." He looked up. "This is business." A week later, the board voted for leadership restructuring. My father wasn't completely removed, but he was no longer in control. And for the first time, my voice actually mattered. Strangely, I didn't feel angry anymore. Just clear. Because sometimes betrayal doesn't destroy you. Sometimes it reveals exactly who people really are and who you were meant to become without them. And if you've ever been underestimated or betrayed by the people closest to you, remember this. The truth has a way of showing up at the exact moment you need it most. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories about betrayal, revenge, and justice.